Welcome back to the Achieve Your Apex podcast. Chad Himes here, author, host, and your friend in growth. That's right. And today we're going to continue our conversation on goal setting. We talked in our last episode. Go back, check it out if you skipped it. We talked in our last episode about the 3 levels of goal setting: comfortable, possible, improbable. Okay, I dove into each one. Remember, goals are not meant to be achieved. Goals are meant to push you. Remember that about goals when you're setting them, from that comfortable to that possible, all the way to that improbable. And I told you this week we would be talking about the ideal length of time to set goals. And I even went and did some homework and got some stats for you that I want to share, because I want to really get this point to sit with you so you really understand the power of goal setting and do it correctly. Now, why am I getting so specific about it? If you're watching these when they drop, we're in fourth quarter of 2024. Now, they'll live forever. So maybe you're watching it sometime in 2025. That's okay. Maybe you're watching it at 2035. Are podcasts still out there? Is YouTube still going? Have you found this episode 10 years after I recorded it? Guess what? It's still applicable. I guarantee it's still applicable. And if it's 10 years from now and this isn't working, call me. Okay. We'll talk about it. Yet it's still going to be applicable. What I want you to understand is, as we have our 3 levels of goals, we only have one length of time to really focus on, and that is short term. Now, here's the challenge. People like to set long-term goals. Annual goals are very common. Most businesses, most individuals set annual goals. They are often ineffective because they're too long and they give you too many excuses and too many opportunities for something you have no control over to show up. So what do I mean about that? Life events can happen, right? There's unpredictability over the course of a year. Think about where you were a year ago. Think about where you are right now whenever you're watching this or listening to this. There is something that happened in that year you had no plan for, right? Nobody planned COVID to show up. Maybe what changed in the economy, maybe inflation, maybe in your life, a baby came along. Surprise, you weren't planning that one. Or maybe you lost somebody who was very close to you and it's thrown you for a loop. Maybe a mentor is no longer with you. Maybe, I don't know, right? A lot of things can happen in a year, and life events are going to make goal planning almost useless when we're planning that far ahead. A vision, yes. A plan, no. Okay. Procrastination is another thing. Raise your hand if you're a procrastinator. Okay. If you didn't put your hand up, you're lying, or you're procrastinating on getting your hand up. You'll get to it at some point. Okay. American Psychology Association has reported that 20% of people consider themselves chronic procrastinators. Meaning, if we gave ourselves a whole year, we're waiting 11 months before we even start. All right. There's no way we're achieving any possibility goal if we wait that long to get to it. We'd be lucky to still hit our comfortable goal. And we have loss of focus. The Dominican University of California found that only 42% of people who set long-term goals actually achieve them in any way without consistent check-ins, because our focus just drifts. We let ourselves off the hook. Long-term goals are powerful when they're a vision, not what we're shooting for. Break it down. So let's talk about shorter time frames. Shorter. One of the best books that's out there is The 12-Week Year. Now, I don't know how many people have told me they've read The 12-Week Year, yet they don't get The 12-Week Year. They don't understand what is being said in The 12-Week Year and why it works. You want to go read a book that's not Achieve Your Apex? Go check out The 12-Week Year. Okay? Here are some things that will show you why. In The 12-Week Year, and in just goal setting in general, even before I ever found that book, this is how I always talked goal setting. Short term, because it increases our focus. You are more productive. Harvard Business Review said so. You are more productive when working with a shorter deadline. Okay. So while you shouldn't just take a goal of 100 widgets and divide it by 4 and say it's 25, 25, 25, 25, Yet you should be more productive when you're working in that first 25, for example, if you did just divide it evenly, which means maybe you'll hit 26, maybe 27 or 28, or maybe you'll get to 22 or 23 because that 25 was a possibility goal and we came up just short, yet better than the 20 we really would have done. Okay. When we have shorter term goals, we have higher accountability. Okay. People are 95% more likely, according to an ASTD study, more likely to meet their goals with regular accountability. And when you have a short term, you have to stay on path. You don't have time to go elsewhere. You'll be more likely with that focus to keep the accountability because you can see the finish line, the deadline right ahead. And there's more flexibility with short-term goals because short-term goals allow you to adapt quickly to changes that are going on. Next quarter, set that goal differently. Oh, something's changing? Great. Set that goal this way, that way. There's seasonality involved in whatever your industry, business, or goal is. Great. Change it. People are more likely to lose weight in the spring because they're thinking about bathing suit weather than they are in the fall when they're thinking about the upcoming holidays and the winter to bundle up. Okay? Flexibility. Companies that plan quarterly are actually 30% more effective at handling change, according to studies that have been done. I want you to understand that the data shows short-term goals bring greater productivity, greater success, and more likely to achieve that. So you've got to keep that in mind when it comes to how do I set my goal? Okay, well, let's talk about effective short-term goal setting. And the first thing is we have a long-term vision that we can break down. So you've been asked the question before, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself 3 years from now? Figure it out and then break it down quarterly. A year from now, I'm going to be selling this many widgets. A year from now, I'm going to be doing this. A year from now, I'm going to be buying a house. A year from now, I'm going to be running a marathon. Great. Break it down. Where do you need to be each quarter to make that happen? Now we're working in smaller bite-sized chunks. Use the TIME acronym when you're setting goals that I have in the book. TIME, T, timeline, right? A goal has to have a deadline to it. I, it's got to be important to you. If it's not important to you, you'll never make it happen. M, it's got to be measurable. And E, there has to be effort. You have to do something to make this goal happen. It won't just fall from the sky. Okay? Get weekly check-ins. Get a coach. Do not let your spouse, partner be your weekly check-in person. They won't hold you accountable. They'll let you off the hook because they love you. Get a coach. Now, if you want to talk to me about coaching, great. Just reach out. Go to chadhimes.com, emberseminars.com, reply to wherever you're getting this, send me a message, find me on social media, whatever it is. I'll be happy to help or direct you to someone who might be a coach for you. But get a coach for weekly check-ins and accountability. And most importantly, celebrate as you go. The small wins need to be celebrated because if you're hitting quarterly goals, there should be a win each quarter. If you're coming up a little short, find the wins that are in there. In the 12-week year, if you're doing the math in your head, there's 13 weeks in every quarter. In the 12-week year, how do they celebrate? They go on vacation for 1 week every quarter. How would you like to have 4 weeks of vacation and still achieve your goals? Short-term planning, folks. That's what it's all about. Share this episode with someone because someone is planning their business right now and they're hearing the wrong lessons and they're looking at it annually. Break it down, bring it closer. Comfortable, possible, improbable, all within reach of only a quarter. Share this episode with that person so they hear it. Make sure you're subscribed. You want to give a review, we'll take it. You want to rate us, we'll take it. All we really care about, though, is that you're here for the next episode. And until then, keep climbing.